Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the new Wildbolt Storm variant of the Thundurus Therian in the Open Master League. Again, I spent 575,000 Stardust here with the double move as well in order to get this Pokemon for this video. So I hope you appreciate it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. Would really appreciate it in general right now. We're going to see here now the matchup as well against the Mewtwo. We're going to have a team of Dialga as well as our own Shundo Mewtwo. On this one, I have this kind of lineup a lot of times when there's like a very neutral Pokemon that I kind of want to give some play. And yeah, for the Thundurus, like the most important matchups are kinda the Lugia, I guess, the Ho-Oh as well as the Kyogre. Those Pokemon are going to be weak against the Electric of this Pokemon, but also, interestingly enough, Focus Blast is kinda a cool coverage move as well. Thought of going for Sludge Wave for the Fairy-type Pokemon, which you can definitely do as well, but yeah, today we're gonna take a look at this team. And I have to say, this team worked out insanely well for me. But what I also have to say is that I tried a different, like two different teams actually before that did not work out at all. So like it's definitely a little bit tricky to find something that works with this Pokemon. But I would definitely recommend you to put it as a closer. Tried it in the lead as well before. Did not really work out too well, even against like positive matchups. You're going to see it as well later on. There's definitely still some issue with this Pokemon, which we're going to see actually here already. We're going to see how much damage the opponent does with the fast move, but also we can go for the Focus Blast because it does a little bit more damage, and so we're going to be able to go for the big boom first game and win this game against the Kyogre. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have the Zekrom in the lead, which is going to be decent for us. They swap out into the Landorus and we can stay in for a little bit, because basically what we're doing here right now is that we are trying to get the opponent into a range where even the Side Strike is enough to knock them out, which is definitely the case at this point. Like a normal Side Strike does knock them out from full health, so we're going to go for a little bit of prior damage then. And now we can swap out and we know that we can easily survive a Stone Edge from the opponent, so this should not be the worst play for us. This is going to allow us to now get the knockout against the opponent, realign our Pokemon, get the Zekrom again onto our Dialga, but not only this, we're also going to be able to still get a Side Strike onto the Zekrom. Could have even went for the Shadow Ball, which I think does not do enough damage. I think it does like still a little bit more with the Side Strike here. So yeah, we're going to get some damage onto them, and this is the most important thing here. We were actually still able to get to another Side Strike against the Terrakion, which is really important, as now they got one less shield as before, and so also we can still use a shield here on our Thundurus against the opponent's Terrakion, as this is going to allow us to debuff their opponent's attack, which is going to be important. We still have to take basically a charge move because also Terrakion is a core breaker for the Thundurus as well as the Dialga, so we are forced to take a Rock Slide. We can actually still survive it, which I was kind of confused about, but we can still actually win this game as the opponent decides to forfeit now. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have here the Ho-Oh in the lead. And we're going to swap out after one fast move against the Ho-Oh. Why after one fast move? I think it's kind of better for aligning your own fast moves. Maybe actually after two fast moves. Never mind, yeah, two fast moves is better than one. But we're going to see here that the opponent swaps out into their own Dialga. This will allow us to go for a bait for a potential Focus Blast, but of course we don't run Focus Blast. If you ever watch my videos as well, you know that I never run Focus Blast because that's the awkward thing as well. I really wish that like those elite charge moves are able, like that you're gonna be able to get them later on as well if you had them once, just with a normal TM, but I don't really want to get rid of my Shadow Ball just for the Focus Blast, just for a little bit of fun. But yeah, we're gonna get out the opponent's Shadow Mewtwo, which is amazing for us actually, because this will allow us to just get them a little bit lower. We already have, yeah, basically now all the Pokemon low from the opponent. And with this, we're going to have one major play that we're going to try to do for the end game here, which is going to go for the 4 farm down on both Pokemon with the Thundurus. And this is where kind of Thundurus can shine. Like the damage output of this Pokemon is insane, unlike the, yeah, what's called the Tornadus, which you take a look at recently as well on this channel. Like this Pokemon actually does a ton of damage, and also we can get to the moves pretty fast, but here they have still 2 shields. I decided not to go for them. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have here the opponent's Ho-Oh in the lead, and we're going to do exactly the same. Go for 2 fast moves and then swap out. I think this is the way to go. Or like one? I don't know. But yeah, we're going to be able to just go ahead and... Actually, you're just going to go for 1 fast move, by the way. Because this is the thing as well. If you swap out, you lose 1 fast move. If you go for 6 fast moves with your Mewtwo, you had like 12 turns. So for 1 fast move from Dialga, 1 fast move from swapping out, and 6 fast moves from the Mewtwo, you're going to end up at 14 turns, basically. And the opponent needs 15 turns to complete 3 Incinerates. And so you will be able to just go for your charge move without getting a free Incinerate in. So yeah, that's just flag for that. As you're gonna see here that the opponent going to have their own Dialga in the back. I decided to go for a shield here, because like if they go for the Draco, which they don't, it would be a little bit tricky, but still if I just get them very, very low, or maybe even get the shield here with my own Iron Head, it's still going to be in a decent spot here, as the opponent is going to be forced now, I think, to even go for the Draco Media in order to knock me out from this range. Iron Head still would put me into a lower range that they are at right now, but yeah, they're gonna go for the Draco, and now it comes down to the Thundurus winning this game. Can Thundurus win this game? It's going to be against the Kyogre. That's looking great for us, right? So here you're going to see the issue for this Pokemon. It is just so squishy. We are not going to be able to get the knockout here with a Wildbolt Storm. I wasn't really able to swap out, like it was basically impossible to swap out with a 3-turn against a 4-turn move. Like, this is like the awkward thing about like Volt Switching or whatever. Like, swapping out is very tricky, especially for like such squishy Pokemon. It's kind of a problem. Next opponent, we're going to have a decent lead of the Rayquaza. The opponent is actually going to stay in for a little bit, which is going to be okay for us. We're going to get some decent energy. We're going to have a very decent matchup here as well. And as long as they don't debuff me, I will be able to just farm them all the way down, and they do not debuff me. So they decide to swap out into their own Kyogre, allowing me to go for a Draco Media and force a shield from the opponent, as I can swap into my Thundurus in order to punish them with some Wild Bolt Storms. As you saw there, I get a free fast move, and this was on purpose, because I know that, yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a trickier matchup in general, and you know that, basically, the opponent would knock me out before I would knock them out in the beginning. But yeah, I would be able to now go for a charge move, which is kind of nice. That's going to allow us to knock out the Kyogre. And in comes the Rhyperior, and I was like, why did I go straight for the charge move? I was expecting, of course, the Dragon-type boy there in the back, but no. They're gonna go into the Rhyperior, and I was wishing that I could still get to the Focus Blast, but sadly this is not going to be the case, as the opponent swaps out. And now it's going to be a very tricky time, because, yeah, like, again, I thought that they're most likely going to go for the Rock Wrecker here, but I still decided to no-shield just in case it is the Rock Wrecker. But, yeah, like, if I just got to the Focus Blast, like, the game would have been over already, which would have been cool, but it is what it is, I guess. But here, it actually doesn't matter if the opponent gets a debuff or not, because they're going to swap out anyway before we go for the charge move, because I know I won't see MP here, so I'd rather go into my Dialga and try to get some damage onto them. And now it depends, can we actually knock out the opponent's Rhyperior with a Side Strike? It's going to be insanely close. Is this enough? Let's take a look at this. It is not enough by 1 HP. Honestly, like, those games are always, like, so heartbreaking. Next opponent, we're going to have a Rhyperior in the lead, and we swap out immediately into the Mewtwo. Here you can go straight for the Side Strike, which is actually ideal in terms of not giving the opponent any extra fast moves, because you need like 10 turns to get to the Side Strike. The opponent needs 12 turns to go for basically 4 fast moves of their own, and you lose 1 turn on swapping out, which is going to help you out then basically avoiding an extra fast move from the opponent. It's always against like 3-turn moves the case, so like if you go into Mewtwo immediately, you're going to just go straight for the Side Strike. You're going to get out the Dialga, and of course we're going to go for the Shadow Ball against the opponent, which is going to do a ton of damage, and that's going to be great, as he can actually now keep our Mewtwo alive in the back, which might come in clutch later, just spoiler alert. But we're going to be able to go ahead and get a shield here, or like use a shield against the opponent's Dialga, and we're going to see the Rhyperior starting back in, and I can actually go for the charge move as well. Iron Head is coming through, and the opponent is going to decide to actually let this move go through, which I found kind of confusing, because they have a Kyogre in the back, and yeah, like Kyogre, while this is going to be a decent matchup for the Dialga, a little bit of bad timing here from my fast move, by the way, which could have done this definitely a little bit better. But like the opponent has now 10 fast moves in, I think. And I was just hoping that the opponent gets a little bit greedy and tries to go for the Origin Pulse. And so I played for this, I swapped for this, and I caught this. And it's going to be the Origin Pulse. And so this is going to be an easy victory here. I'm gonna go for the Zero Bubble to disrespect my opponent even more. Good game there, what a catch, and let's move on to the next one. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have a Ho-Oh in the lead, which allows us now to swap out again. I think I was a little bit too greedy with the fast moves in the beginning, so I have to go for my charge move immediately here, which is still going to be okay. It does not really matter too much, as we can just use a shield here. This is going to allow us to survive whatever move they're going to go for. They're going to go for the Brave Bird, and they swap out into the Lugia, which is already 2 targets for the Thundurus, which might be interesting for later on. I can go for the Shadow Ball, which is going to be super effective, does around like 55%, and we cannot really reach another one, which is fine. I can let this move go through here. But also, what we kind of have to do now is we're gonna have to go into our Dialga. Dialga is gonna be able to get some nice energy here, and I'm still going to be forced to go for the Iron Head because otherwise the opponent gets to the Aeroblast, and I don't really want this, but they want this, so they decide to use a shield here, and they can go for the Aeroblast, but I decide to let this move go through because he cannot really go into the zero shields with the Thundurus, and can Thundurus actually do something in this matchup now? That's going to be the question as the opponent goes for their Sacred Fire. They do not get the debuff, which is really lucky for me, as we now have to see what they have in the back, and it's going to be the Rayquaza. And with this, we can go for the Wildbolt Storm. Gonna get the first shield from the opponent. I can still go for another one. And fast move timing, maybe not completely ideal there, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because you have to get 2 moves off anyway there, so this was kinda okay still. We're gonna get the Breaking Swipe onto us. It does not get the debuff either, but also we are gonna see here that the opponent is getting close to a move, but not close enough, and with this we can go for the Iron Head in order to knock out the Lugia, and this is going to be a good game there. Great gameplay there for the Thundurus as well, which is kind of cool, as you're gonna see the Rayquaza in the lead for the next opponent. What we can do here now is we're gonna stay in, but the opponent stops into the Solgaleo, and I guess they have some lag here, but honestly against Solgaleo, I just take it. Like, I'm sorry about this, but like, I don't know like how much like there actually was, because it looked like they got 3 fast moves in there all of a sudden. But we were able to hit a Shadow Ball, which is kind of cool, and so we can just go for another Side Strike afterwards, which of course makes this matchup a little bit easier, but you're gonna see it as well later on. This matchup was still kind of wild. We're gonna have to use a shield here because they might run Solar Beam, and this is something that a lot of people are running, especially if they're running Solgaleo as a safe swap there. Solar Beam allows you to hit something like the Kyogre especially, but also something like a Groudon for super effective damage to just one-shot them, but also just like your hardest hitting move in general, so we decide to use a shield on that. The opponent makes a great play of going for their charge move here, but this kind of puts them into a farm down range for our, what's called Thundurus, exactly. And so this is basically a game over. Like, there's nothing that I can do here, right? Maybe, but there's a Focus Blast still in place. And I was like thinking, yeah, okay, the opponent knows they have Focus Blast, I'm just going to go for the bait here. And this is literally what killed me the most. They actually baited me first, then decided to no-shield my bait, and now go for the Rock Wrecker, and I was like, if I just went for the Focus Blast, I would have been easily able to win this game. But what we can do now is, we can now go ahead and still go for some Iron Heads here eventually, as they get, of course, immediately the attack drop. But the opponent makes a huge mistake by swapping into the Rayquaza. This was so unnecessary. Like, they did not have to do this. I would have been so fine just staying in with a Rhyperior. With this, we're gonna be able to win this game. Good game to the opponent. Mistakes been made, but let's move on to the next one. The next opponent, we're going to have a Dialga in the lead, which is going to be, again, a kind of neutral matchup for us. We can just stay in here and we can play it out. Let's see what the opponent tries to do. They try to catch onto the Ho-Oh, catching here the Draco Meteor. And so we can just swap into our own Thundurus. Thundurus is going to have a great time here. I could go straight for the Wildbolt Storm, but I decided not to, because I know that it does not knock them out from this range yet. Sacred Fire comes through. We're not going to get the debuff again, so we were actually kind of lucky with this. I have to say that. Definitely kind of lucky with Breaking Swipe and like Sacred Fire debuffs. But we're gonna get the knockout now, which is kind of cool, as we will see what the opponent is swapping into. They're swapping into their own Dialga. Can I still get to the Focus Blast? I cannot, as the opponent still reaches another charge move. I am forced to let this move go through, but I can swap into my Mewtwo now. I think they can range for one Side Strike already, and so we're going to test this theory here by going for the Side Strike. Is not enough to knock them out? Let's see. I think it is, and it is enough, and so we're gonna see the final Pokemon being the Heatran here. And I can just go for the Shadow Ball. And also, we're gonna see here that the opponent is still going to be forced to go for a charge move against me. And so I can let this move go through, and I think Dragon Breath down is the way to go here. Heatran should not really have anything in store for me, at least it's what I thought at this point, but honestly the Dragon Breath damage kinda worries me, because it feels like it was not really a lot. And still we need just a little bit more damage here, and they survive with 1 HP again. I feel like a lot of the games that I did lose today was like super close, but yeah, good game to the opponent there. Heatran was a little bit too much at the end. Final battle for today. We're going to have the Mewtwo in the lead, which is going to be okay for us as a matchup at least. We can actually win this easily in the 2-shield scenario, just going straight for the Iron Head, just trying out basically to farm them all the way down. So maybe we're gonna do this, we're gonna see about this, we're gonna see the opponent going for a charge move. Last time I tried to catch on a Mewtwo, I caught a Shadow Ball onto my own Mewtwo, which I don't really want to do again. They're gonna go for the Side Strike, which I found kinda curious here, because what I actually find a little bit more curious is that they're gonna go for another Side Strike there. So now we're going to be 2 shields down. They can still get to another move, which is kind of awkward, but at least we're going to be able to get up to another charge move, which kind of guarantees me to get another shield anyway from the opponent against the Ho, for example. Let's take a look at this one. We're going to get up the Draco Meteor, gonna get the shield, and we can swap out into the Thundurus here, as we can go for the Wildbolt Storm, but the opponent is going to have in the bag the Palkia. Can we outspeed the opponent? If they didn't get a fast move in, we should have been able to do this, but we are not going to be able to do so. They got somehow like one fast move in, which is going to be okay, as we can still survive this one thanks to the debuff of Wildbolt Storm. We can still get another knockout against the opponent here with the Thundurus as the Ho-Oh comes in. We're gonna get some damage onto them, and this damage can be crucial. What we're gonna see now is I'm going to swap into the Mewtwo, and we're gonna do something similar that we tried to already before against the Rhyperior in an earlier game, where we're gonna try to just store up them like the move here, because they also get debuffed, and then just swap out and get a ton of damage onto the opponent. And with this we can still go for a Side Strike, and the Side Strike will be crucial. It's going to be enough to knock out the opponent. With this I can say just thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, really feel free to leave a like there and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.